Hello there. Howdy,
What
everyone.
is it?
Welcome to A Free Solution.
We are once again like recording ourselves for the future posterity of the American public.
That's right. That's right. It's Fake News Friday. Fake News Friday coming at you from Thursday. So thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. Of course, this is the online portion of the show. This is the point that isn't going. This is part that ain't going out over the actual radio show. But
Unless you're Tim O'Connor and you do a horrible job of editing, and then apparently some of it does go out over the radio
sometimes,
with a big long
occasionally,
pause in there.
it
That's right.
happens. It
It does happen
happens.
to me,
You know.
and I thought I was extra careful. Good evening, Shelley.
Hey Shelly, thanks for joining us. So of course, we got a great show today. We'll talk about some gas price stuff.
Yeah,
We'll try to keep it. I mean, it's mostly domestic issues. I think
yeah.
we'll talk
Well,
about
we'll
today. I
see.
mean, there's
We'll
an
see where we go.
international component. But we'll see. And yeah, no. So if you have any thoughts, things that we ought to be talking about, of course, make sure you leave your comments wherever you're listening today on the YouTube channel, on the Kevin Wilson pages, on the Tim O'Connor pages, on the Free Solution pages, wherever you're listening today. Leave your comments. You got good stuff to talk about. We'll try to bring it onto the air, and we'll do so gracefully and with our radio audience in mind. Won't we, Tim?
We will. We're absolutely committed to that.
We got it. I'm busting Tim's chops.
I'm feeling bad though. I
No,
just feel awful.
you're fine. It's fine. You
The show
roll
was
with it.
fire though.
Yeah, it was a good show. I enjoyed
was.
listening
It
to
was
it.
a good
Actually, I
show.
listened to it live this time. So
And you joined in for the
I sure
exciting
did.
last 18-minute segment.
Like priorities. I had to take care of my bread first.
I
that
get
was
it.
more important.
I do
But
get it.
that's
Absolutely.
eventually I joined in. All right. So, folks, we're probably going to be talking about some gas prices today, gas tax stuff, a few other things. Of course, it's Fake News Friday. You got some fake news for us, too. Make sure you share that, too. And then, something good, again, we'll share it on show. We occasionally get to those comments, too. Oh, that's weird. I'm seeing Joe's comment about, like, that was other stuff. I don't know. Who has the name Free Solution? Come on.
She might be talking about Tim O'Connor. I don't know.
Tim O'Connor.
Yeah, I'm guessing.
Oh, okay.
I'm just
The
guessing.
Tim O'Connor pages. All right.
Yeah, but somebody
just
found
look
it
up Free
yesterday.
Solution. That's all you got to do.
Could do that. That would be good.
Look it up because we got. I mean, I got the domain. I don't know how a freesolution.com was available. Not that I'm doing much with it, but it was there.
On TikTok, I got the freedom variant. That was pretty good. That was sweet.
It's not bad. How did no one else think of that? You're just innovative, Tim.
Yeah, maybe they already got banned because the freedom variant got banned on TikTok for now.
That could be. All right, so we're gonna start the show 4 minutes on that live clock there. I don't know. Can people see that? I don't know. Can we just see that? I have no idea. I don't know how Facebook works and YouTube is. But yeah, we're gonna come in a couple seconds, start the actual radio show. But appreciate y'all listening today and heading in 10. Welcome to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, yours for today, joined by Tim, the Freedom Variant O'Connor. What's up, Tim?
Kevin, I'm feeling once again on Friday. I'm kind of annoyed. Like I don't think Jen Psaki is handling the communications on this whole gas price thing as well as she could.
I can't imagine that she isn't handling things perfectly. She's a professional. She works at the White House, for goodness sakes. Tim, how can you doubt that? Real quick before we get that stuff, though, thanks everyone for listening today on WYSL and our friends listening down the line, WACK as well. And of course, our friends listening online, a Free Solution Facebook page, Free Solution YouTube channel, the Kevin Wilson pages, the Tim O'Connor pages, the Free Solution group, the podcast, all those places. You can find us all over the place. Thank you for listening today. And all right, so Jen Psaki, like what did she say about gas? But why is the cost of my gas going up, Tim?
Putin. Yep, Putin, and she doubled down. It's Putin. Putin has caused our gas prices to skyrocket. He's been at it for months. It's a plot, Kevin. That's the thing.
Well, all right. Yeah, is she wrong though? Like, you think she's wrong?
I don't think that she's accurate. I do think that devaluation of the money supply played a role. Printing massive amounts of money played a role. An economy that is slightly coming back from a COVID recession played a role. D- Doing away with the Keystone Pipeline and anticipated increases in supply played a role. Restricting more permits for drilling played a role. So there's lots
Right.
of things that played a role, but our government, the government of bread and circuses, Kevin, blames Putin.
All right. So, well, I'm gonna throw a bunch of wrenches in there too.
Do it.
Just see how you react.
Bring it. Now I'm
Because
going to
it's fun.
react
All right. All right.
horribly.
All right. So, what if I told you that the Keystone XL pipeline, the oil that was meant to flow through that, was not actually meant for refinement for gasoline?
Doesn't matter because it's all part of the same supply, Kevin.
Is it?
God, do I even have to
Is
explain
it
that to you?
though?
Actually, you know what? That's an interesting point, right? Because there are different kinds of petroleum. Some light sweet crude makes gas readily. Okay, dark Brentwood North Sea crude or whatever doesn't make gas as readily. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, yeah. So like supposedly, again, I don't know enough about this to actually like be an expert on it, right? So like I'm just reading the articles that like, well, actually, the Keystone XL pipeline, the tar sands oil that they're getting is very difficult. It basically wouldn't be worth turning into gasoline. They use it for like motor oil and they use it for a few other oils. The plan was to get it down to the Gulf of Mexico, ship it out to China, and have them refine it into other oils that are not gasoline. So even if it were completed, it wouldn't matter.
It wouldn't affect the price of gasoline right now, is what you're saying.
That's part of it too, right? Even if they completed it, would it impact the price of gasoline now?
Well,
I
it
which
does convert into things like heating oil, right? And
right?
so does the better kinds of a lot of things can go to a certain type of product that becomes the one that we want to use. Okay, so
Well, when
it,
you have substitutes, right?
thank
That's
you
what ends up
for
happening.
me
Yeah.
not finding the right word in my brain, but we have
No, that's
substitutes.
we're
And
here to support each other, Tim.
we try, brother. We do. So the issue, right, is that even though it's not specifically meant to be refined into gasoline, it could get demanded for heating oil someplace else or some other cross collaborative kind of product that the demand still gets sucked up. Okay, so that's an issue.
Yeah.
And still, we're bringing it in on trains from Canada anyway. So, like, I
Yeah.
don't know. I still think a pipeline would be a better idea than that.
I generally agree on that one, right? Like the oil is still getting refined, right? I mean, it's a Canadian pipeline bringing the oil through the US or whatever, but like it's still happening. They bring it in through trains and through trucks and through other methods. Pipeline's not the worst way to do it. Yeah, it's reliable, it's cheaper, and again, you're right about the substitute thing, and I think that's worth talking about. The other couple points I want to hit on that too, but I want to get to a listener question first. But I do want to mention this so we can stick it in our brain and get back to it. Is one, when did prices start going up, and does that matter? You talked about inflation, so does it matter? And two, did Joe Biden actually limit the number of permits that were able to be issued?
That's
So
a good
one,
one because that seems to be common narrative, and maybe I'm not exactly correct about that, right?
yeah, but we'll get to his listener question first. Matthew says, it's only been a little over a week. How do prices change so quickly? The gas in tanks right now was not more expensive. Tim, any thoughts on that?
The one of the issues is when you have this big business and you have actuaries like anticipating supply, right? And the cost of the supply. So they base their prices, and this isn't just nonsense, right? They're base their prices off of what they think the replacement for what they have in their tanks is going to cost, not necessarily what's in their tank and what that costs. And so yeah, it's a complicated issue. It maybe shouldn't have gone up as fast. Certainly, in times of high demand, oil companies, like most other companies, will expand their profit margin because as they see their pricing getting more like competitive, higher, and the supply shrinking, they'll expand their profit margins in hopes of still making money and still being able to resupply their tanks. So it's that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, again, that
And they are greedy, right? They do want to
a
make
little
money.
bit.
That's
Oh
real.
man, you sound like Elizabeth Warren now,
I
talking
feel
about
like
how
Elizabeth Warren at the moment, but
the
it
the
it
the
it is true.
reason gas prices are high is just because of those greedy oil companies, and all we
Yeah,
need to do is tax them more. We'll
I'm
talk
not
about the
sure.
taxes later, but
Yeah, I'm not sure that's exactly what I said, but I do have to issue a correction about taxes, but I'll save it for later.
yeah, yeah. But let's talk about a couple of the other things. So one, I see this chart going around where you see the gas prices going up, right? And people will draw an arrow. This is where Joe Biden became president, and this is where gasoline prices are now. So listen, the president doesn't have that much control over gas prices. Like there's a lot of stuff a little bit. There are things the president does that impacts it. I,
Let, let
I
me
said this, with Trump too, when gas prices
yeah,
like went up and down under him.
let me challenge that a little bit, okay? If presidents don't have that much control over the prices, which I agree they don't have a lot of control, but why would they take any actions? Like, didn't we
Yeah,
release 15 minutes worth of oil from our strategic petroleum reserve in hopes of easing prices? And didn't it do it for a week or two?
yeah.
They
It's so they can look like they're doing something. That's the whole point. It's like, oh,
this
look,
is
I've taken action on this. It did basically nothing, but gosh darn it, I acted.
it's virtuous. It's a virtue signal.
That basically that. I mean,
Well,
that's what it is. I mean, like I said, it's not actually nothing, but like it's not what the president does isn't the only factor. I guess it isn't to totally let Joe Biden off the hook. I kind of want to make 2 points about this. One is that like a gas prices started rising before Joe Biden became president, and he had mentioned like the inflation thing, right? Like when gas prices started going up. This was in November, December of 2021, before Joe Biden was president. What happened then? That was the second stimulus, but that was when we spent another, what $1.5 trillion on a whole bunch of stuff. So
I
if
got
if
1,200
inflation's part
bucks.
of the cause, what's that?
I got 1,200 bucks.
Oh, good for you. I didn't get that because the IRS still hasn't processed my tax payment from last year. So, get on it.
I don't know what to tell you about that. I honestly, that may be your libertarian credentials in the IRS punishing you for being a libertarian.
No, I mean, like I paid my taxes, which I was like, take my money. I'm doing the right thing, and it's just in process.
Patriotically paid your taxes.
I
Let's
know,
put it
right?
that way.
But it's that could be part of it, right? Could be nothing too. Could be seasonal. This Facebook user says they go up right before winter all the time. Could be seasonal. Hey,
Could be.
could be a thing, right?
Well,
Um,
the economy was starting to climb out of the COVID doldrums. Like that was real. Like the people were opening things up. We were running school buses down the road more often.
there's
So
higher
yeah,
demand, right?
yeah.
Some stuff started, the lockdown started to go away. People started to
Mhm.
win the fight on those, right? And
Yeah.
then, I don't think we're gonna have time to talk about it, but like I do want to talk about the permit thing, because I shared an article on my page about some of this stuff, and it's a little bit of mixed news about whether or not Joe Biden was active in allowing or not allowing like permits to go out, right? All right,
Right.
so thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. We're gonna have to head to a break now, but you got me, Kevin Wilson, and Tim O'Connor here. Make sure you leave your comments if you're listening online. We'll get to those if there's something good. We'll be back in just a few minutes, though. Talk to you soon.
Can I talk yet?
Yeah, no, you go ahead. It's
All
fine.
right.
We left enough space.
Did you try
We're
to
gonna
put up
put that.
Darren's
Yeah, I,
comment?
I did try to put up Darren's
All right,
comment.
my buddy Darren. With all due respect, I almost agree with you guys. But do you ever get spitting mad? Come on, Darren, you've known me for a long time. Do I ever get spitting mad? The issue that I have is when I'm talking politics, I feel no margin in getting angry. Like it, and I get frustrated and I get annoyed and I like to make fun of these clowns. Like they're it's a circus, man. They're there to entertain us. It's a great question, but I don't get
I know.
it's not worth it. It's too much
I'll,
energy.
I'll I'll get mad occasionally. Like I got mad over some like school issues before too, because like I get talking to some of these folks who will tell me all these terrible stories about public schools, about the violence, about the ridiculous curriculum, about all sorts of stuff. And then when I'm like, yeah, in a few years, I'm definitely gonna look at like homeschooling, be like, oh, that's for crazy people. And like
Yeah.
some of that stuff I get mad about, and I get mad about like when the government hurts people and stuff.
Mm.
With the gasoline thing, like here's my perspective on most of that stuff. Like I am frustrated with a lot of it, but I also want to look for like where are the solutions, right? Like what's actually causing this thing to happen that's impacting our life, and how can we fix it? Because
Yeah.
sometimes getting mad, like I can be mad about this thing and people get all riled up, and then that anger unfortunately turns into people wanting to like have the state take action about it. Not necessarily you, Darren, but
Oh, no, but
like a lot of folks do that though.
hang on, no, you're hitting a nail on the head, right? The state, it's a tool of manipulation for you to get involved in a side and move in the direction that they want you to, all while making promises that they don't necessarily ever intend to keep. So that's a good point about one of the reasons why I don't get mad is because I don't want to be manipulated by these jokers. Okay. Only want to try to concentrate on solutions. I want to try to concentrate on the notion that libertarians can actually be popular and have an impact on our society. And by getting mad, I play right into their hands.
Yeah,
So I
so
couldn't imagine what would happen if I ever debated like Andrew Cuomo or something like that. I know I'd have to lose my mind a little bit. That guy's such a clown.
all right. So we're gonna go back at 17 minutes though. So we'll talk about some of the permit stuff on the actual show, and yeah, I don't know. Maybe
Can
we'll
I,
come back to this comment though, but
yeah,
what?
can I issue my correction too?
Yeah, you can do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll do that. So we're gonna go back at like I said, 17 minutes. Keep the comments coming though. Appreciate all y'all listening tonight. Stuff like this too. That's great. Hartwick opening up a free solution homeschooling learning center. Right on. Very cool, man. It's Brian LaRusso. All right, back in 5, 3. Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host today, joined by Tim, the Freedom Variant O'Connor. And we're talking
I'm here.
about yeah, you're here. We're
I'm
talking
here.
about gas prices today.
Yeah, on yesterday's show, I actually made a false correlation where I said that New York State's tax on petroleum products on gasoline is 10 cents a gallon. That was absolutely 100%, 25% correct. It's literally 45 cents a gallon. 45 cents a gallon. Right? Am I at 25% of my percentages are still off? Look at this. So 45 cents a gallon already. And
Yeah.
guess what, guys? There's a bill on the floor that has sponsorship in both houses to add another 55 cents a gallon. 55 cents on top of the 43.26 cents that they're already getting, that they're going to give us a tax holiday of 10 cents on in New York State.
Yeah, why not? Just pile on, right?
We want to be number one. So as a correction, I'm offering you more information to bring New York State once again to a leadership position.
Yeah.
Number one.
No, fantastic. No, we lead in all the best things here in New York State. So all right, because I see a bunch of folks out there, like Republicans, libertarian folks, and they say, well, why don't we just eliminate the gas tax right now?
Yes, eliminate. I'd love it. Just
Yeah, that's your position too. Just get rid of it, right?
I would love it. Okay, but I like go ahead. I know I look, Kevin, I'm
But-
way older than you. I know
but-
right where you're going with this.
But Tim, who will build the roads?
Let the smart people build the roads, bro. I'm not kidding you. We would have flying cars if we didn't argue over roads all the time. Okay, like trolleys were better than driving a car around a city. And look at what big gas and big oil did to them. They destroyed them.
You're gonna go back to the public transit?
Yeah, public. In towns and cities, it makes sense. Okay, doesn't make sense where I live. Like a trolley running down my road to try to take my kid.
So for me in Rochester,
Yeah,
I gotta use the public.
You've got
Whatever.
you
I
need a
ride my
car.
bike around everywhere. Literally, I was riding my bike all over the city today. But so I mean, I don't care. It's fine.
It was a nice day.
Yeah, it was
My
beautiful.
virtue
I
demands
loved it.
that you ride a trolley, Kevin. That's
There
it.
you go.
I want to save
for
the
other
world.
people, not for you. But all right, but I do like it is a question worth asking, right? Like if we eliminate the gas tax, right? Like that is in part and a big part of what pays for keeping up roads in New York State. What do you do with that? Like where's that money come from then? And how do we make sure that if the state is charged with paying for the roads, where are we going to pay for it if we cut the gasoline tax? It feels like one of those things. And guys, I hate to say it, but a lot of Republicans do that. Like, oh yeah, cut the tax, like great, and it feels good. And then they run up the debt because
Yeah.
they don't bother cutting the spending associated with that tax.
And let me throw another problem at you guys. And check this out. This is a complicated, it's not that complicated, but it's a reality, right? If we lower the price of a product that's high in demand and is already facing supply constrictions, what we actually do is artificially boost the demand at that moment. Okay. So we're going to contribute to even more demand for gas and even higher prices. I don't know if it's counterintuitive, but if we automatically lower something by 10 cents, and even though it's a tax, which I would love to get rid of, it's going to stimulate demand for that product.
Yeah,
And
no, that's
ex- exacerbate the point.
economics.
Yeah, 101, 102 something. I don't know. Macro, micro, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And you know, Shelley says road building and maintenance is already in the budget, so where's the gas tax go? I mean, like a lot of this is like some of it's bonded out, right? Like basically debt of the state. Like, so okay, we're gonna issue a bond for $30 million or whatever to build this road to A, B, and C. And so it basically goes to debt. And then, yeah, gas tax is one of those things, though, that goes to pay for roads, which, again, if you're going to accept the existence of the state at all, right? Like, okay, who should pay for these things that like roads? Well, probably the people using them, right? So gas tax like kind of makes sense. If you switch all over to electric cars, it's not going to work.
Right.
Eventually, someone's going to have to find a new tax to pay for that stuff. And there are other taxes that pay for this and tolls that pay for it on the throughway and whatnot. But so like to me, I take the practical perspective. If the state, not necessarily me, decides that this thing needs to like be paid for, then there needs to be a mechanism for paying for that thing.
Yeah, that's the real issue, right? Like the lottery was going to fund education, the gas tax was going to fund roads, and what we have in New
In
York is that
theory.
yes, we have a spending problem. We see a program, we spend money on it. We grow government services, we grow government employees, and then we have an automatic reelection campaign because that's, let's face it, you get a job from your Democratic, benevolent overlord, you're going to vote Democratic, and that's a reality. So
Yeah, no, I mean, I saw something the other day about how like the state, when it tries to solve problems, it tries to turn them into a revenue source. And by revenue
yeah,
source, it's like
yeah,
they're going to
federal jobs
extract that
program.
from us to
Yeah,
keep a permanent jobs program going. It's not
yep,
about
that's
solving
what
the
it is.
problem itself. It's it's about keeping their money flowing.
It is, man. To pay for their virtue, right? They've got to signal their virtue with our money, and that's wonderful. Not really.
Yeah.
It's
Um,
it frustrates me, Kevin, when we get into these conversations because they use our money to make promises that they can't keep and then make us angry with each other. And I do try to stay out of that. It
I know. It's hard not to though, because like you see it in your paycheck every other week, right? And you're like, oh, okay, so that's it's getting taken out there, and it's getting taken out at the pump, and it's getting taken out at the cash register, and
yeah.
is this all really going for
And then
good things? Is this being used properly?
yeah, and then you have to pay your yearly property rent to your county because then the county also has to take care of roads. Like, eh,
Yeah,
so how many times do I have to pay for these roads? That's the other problem. Like, I think I pay for them over and over again. I pay for them with my property tax. I pay for them with my gas tax. I pay for them with my income tax. I pay for them with my sales tax. So, at what point are the roads paid for?
never. New York State, it's just
Never.
always potholes ever. No, and again, I actually, we're being a bit glib with this stuff. I've had like town officials on too, like who I get like legitimately struggle, like these small towns and like counties and stuff. They struggle to pay for this stuff sometimes because a lot of times too, like they pay like the town will pay the taxes or like these municipalities or local governments
Something.
pay taxes, and then they'll
They'll
go to
hire
New
their
York State.
brother-in-law.
Well, no. What'll happen is they'll go to New York State, and then they're supposed to get part of it back to like pay for some of this stuff that the state says they have to pay for, but it doesn't always like end up back exactly the same way. So a lot
Well,
of these places are like, well, if you just gave us the money back that we paid in, or we just kept it in the first place, like, and then
I
didn't mandate a bunch of extra stuff, we'd be able to actually just
I
do
you
this.
If I had, let's say I pay $4,000 a year in property taxes on my house, okay? If I had that $4,000 a year, I would gladly fill the potholes in front of my house. I would be glad to do it. I would even go out and shovel some of the snow off the road for that $4,000.
Just your section of the road, though. Like you're gonna.
I accept money from other people to continue the service. And look, that's something that I've talked about on my shows. The centralization even of trucking when it comes to fixing our roads, people who are closer to the source of the problem would fix it easier. Now we have Kathy Hochul. Did you hear about the POP program, Kevin,
The pop
in New York State?
program? Oh goodness, what is that? What?
It's the Pave Our Pothole program. It is $1 billion from Governor Hochul and her camp. It's a campaign promise, Kevin. $1 billion of state money set aside as a pothole emergency fund. So I'm not exactly sure if they're
Well,
going to create a
pop.
text number where you can phone in a picture or something of a pothole, but there's going to be $1 billion there to fix potholes.
Well, hooray! I'm sure that will definitely fix things. I mean, like I know, like in the city where I live, like you can report them in, and they'll get back to you in like a month or whatever. It's
They're
they,
now going
they
to have
eventually they usually get to it. It's just, sometimes you got to pester them a bit. But yeah, I mean, to me, I'm like, well, why can't Domino's just fill all the potholes? Like they seem to be doing an all right job. Like let's just.
How could they actually turn that into a revenue stream where they advertise for the Domino's pothole fillers for your local community? I think it would work. I mean, if we're gonna sell naming rights to bridges, which we are, okay. Like Larry Sharp brought up
I
the
mean,
idea.
they did that for a while, right? Like, that was a
It's gonna
thing.
happen, okay. We're
I
gonna
was saying
bring
the
it back.
thing, like legit, Domino's is filling potholes for a bit.
Oh, really? Okay, I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
that is not fake news. Like Domino's was actually like it was a publicity stunt, right? But like
Sure.
they were filling potholes. I'm gonna have to find it during the break. Um, yeah,
All right.
it was a thing.
That's awesome. I guess it didn't enter the Freedom Variant's mind.
No, that's that's the libertarian dream, right? It's like, all right,
It is.
let's just get Domino's to fill the potholes. That who will build the roads? Domino's. They are not a sponsor of the show at all. It's just like they're getting
Should.
continued free publicity from a stunt they did like 3 years ago.
Well, and it certainly makes sense, right? Like, but how do you get a naming right on a pothole? How do you like long term advertise on that pothole that you fill? That's the
I mean,
that's
they did stamp it with their logo, to be fair.
I honestly kind of like that. I do have some potholes in front of my house. I'm gonna call it Domino's and see if
Yeah,
they'll
no,
take
no,
care of
no.
it.
So let's say I'll share the thing.
Yeah, no, I love it. That's great.
But you get that, and you get volunteers do that, and you get like businesses doing that. And that's part of it, right? Like, and there's different ways to do maintenance that don't necessarily need to come from the state of New York or even like a county or local municipality.
Yeah,
But
there's
we are coming up on a break though. So thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. We're gonna be back in just a few minutes. Appreciate y'all listening today. Talk to you soon. Take care. All right. You
there's
got in, yeah.
yeah, there's private roads around here where the people like cooperatively maintain the snow on them and fill in the potholes, and occasionally they get together, rent equipment, buy a couple loads of gravel and stuff like that, and they all kind of just pitch in. And the one guy who it affects the most he does a little bit more of the work, but he never gets mad about it.
Yeah. Hold on, let me see if I can share this specifically. Let's see, share Chrome tab, paving for pizza. Oh yes.
Look at this.
See, no, it was totally a thing.
Oh, and they did tag it. Okay,
Yeah.
I love it. I freaking love it. I wonder how much they spent on it because, like I said, New York State's going to spend $1 billion on a pothole emergency response system. It is basically what I took from what she said, and it's what she said. This budget's for you, and it left me wondering: does Kathy Hochul have a sense of humor? Is she somehow like witty? Is she playing games with us? I doubt it, but it was pretty funny stuff.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, yeah, we'll stop giving Domino's a free commercial here.
Yeah, they should at least give us
Yeah, for a little bit of money, we'll talk about your pothole program all the time. Whatever, it's
yeah.
why not?
I wonder what I should put that to Larry Sharp, what his solution would be, the counter solution. He would go with the domino strategy, like
No, I mean he talked about it, right? And he started to talk about it on like Joe Rogan, talk about doing like the bridges, talk about doing like the plowing. Larry's too polite to make a joke about Pornhub's being the plowing service. And Joe Rogan was setting him up for it perfectly, and he was just like he's too polite to do it. Like Joe Rogan wanted that joke so bad.
and that was still a pretty decent deal. They kind of talked past each other a little bit. They didn't
Yeah.
quite connect. And Larry's really good at connecting. I was really
He
surprised
is.
when I saw it. I was like, and Joe didn't connect either. Like they both kind of wanted to get a point on the table that was similar to the points that they were making, but they couldn't quite keep. But then I don't know, then they came around. It was good.
Yeah. All right. So we should go back. We'll go back at 32 minutes.
All right.
Keep talking about gas stuff. I didn't talk about the gas permit thing.
Oh yeah.
Somehow turn this into a whole show. But
it's
somehow, and I know we have a ton of comments that we haven't gotten to too. I don't know if we can
Guys,
scroll
we
through
appreciate
any
the
of those. I know,
comments.
we love it. Just
because
I
it's a
don't
radio
know what
show, we
Tim and
don't-
I are doing.
Yeah, I got yelled at today for dealing with comments. You guys, sorry.
It's
I
very
can't
hurt.
do it.
All right, back in 7. Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wills, your host today, joined by Tim, the Freedom Variant O'Connor.
I'm here,
And-
Kevin. I'm loving this show. We're having a great talk
Sure.
about
No, it's a good day. It's Friday. It's a fun
Yeah.
time.
things that New York State is number one in.
Yeah, no, I mean we're so great, at taxes, at driving people out.
We are number one in that. Like there's nobody that's taking second to us. We drive more people out of the state than any other state in the union.
I don't know. California sometimes gives us a run for our money, but just them. But shout out to all of our friends listening on WYSL, our friends listening over at WACK out in Newark, and of course our friends listening online who are filling the show with comments too. Appreciate all y'all listening and participating in the show today. I know we're talking about potholes and whatnot, and whether or not Domino's is filling them, and different ways of doing that. And I did want to talk about, unless you want to talk about potholes some more, I did want to talk about the gas permit thing, the gas and oil permit thing.
I mean, you're just going to be backfilling for Biden. Nobody wants
I know.
that.
I'm chilling for Biden, apparently. Well, all right. So, I'll make this point quick, and it's just to say that the Biden administration issued more gas and oil drilling permits on public lands than Donald Trump's administration did in his first 3 years in office, right? Like, so he issued 333 in 2017. Trump issued 245, then 279, then 284, then way up to 452, and then Biden issuing 333. So he hasn't really gone down in a significant way. Like there's a bunch of folks who went and applied during Trump administration because they did. But here there is a caveat to that, which is to say that the Biden administration tried to restrict drilling on public lands and then just had that overturned in court. They issued an executive order saying they weren't going to do a lot of that. So they tried to, it just wasn't successful.
Okay, while that's accurate, right? I do think that one of the things that contributes is that I would say, and many people feel, and I do think we see evidence of a distinct anti-fossil fuel agenda at the very top. So, and knocking out the Keystone Pipeline was a big signal that is how the policies are going to shift and go down. So I think that maybe some of it is just emotional kind of paranoia. Maybe the supply isn't lower. But if we're drilling in horrible places because they said, okay, this is the only place you can have a permit, versus like underneath Yucca Mountain where we have nuclear, I don't know. There's some place out in Nevada. There's this huge oil reserve that we've never tapped into. that I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, there's places like, up in Alaska too where, I mean, it's a wildlife preserve up there, but there's a bunch of oil and, there are different pros and cons to doing that, right? Uh, the mostly how I feel about the Biden administration is again, they haven't been effective in doing that other than like mostly virtue signaling that they want things to be greener. And you got
yeah,
goofballs like Pete Buttigieg talking about how like, well, if you're worried about gas prices, just buy an electric vehicle. And I'm like,
just
that's
the
well, just
the
just do that. Okay, just buy a fifty thousand
why
dollar vehicle, whatever. Like no big
why
deal.
yes, why did the elite in our society just hate poor
Yeah.
people? Why do they hate them? I don't understand
Yeah,
it.
and like, is that like I don't have anything against electric vehicles. Like, I might get one in the future, but like, it's
Sure.
such a tone deaf argument to make about gas prices when like the immediate short term, if you're driving, a 15-year-old beater car because that's the only thing you can afford to work,
Well,
like, yeah,
yeah,
you don't want to hear that, oh,
yeah,
go out and buy a newer electric vehicle. No, you can't do that. It's not an option. That's something like again when I talked about like the sanctions earlier this week and whether or not it made sense to do those. I know I had some folks calling into the show too, being like, "Oh, we should do these because like we need to take a stand here." And I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna hurt Americans too." And
yeah.
that's a cost that like collectively we need to bear, and y'all need
I
to
agree.
understand that this is going to hurt some folks. Like that's what it is. It's some folks are going to be paying more at the pump, and that's going to be them not maybe buying the food that they want or them not paying some bills. It's going to be a big deal for a lot of folks.
You know that the Russian people can't watch reruns of Supernatural
Oh my
in Russia
goodness.
anymore. You know that,
Yeah,
right?
because of the Netflix thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's about
man.
it.
I mean, yeah. Like this is it's more than economic stress, okay? This is an injustice, Kevin. All right. This is bad. Like
The Netflix thing.
yeah,
That's well, I
yeah,
know.
that's the one. That's the problem.
And the McDonald's thing too. No more McDonald's in Russia.
Well,
That's
that's like doing them a favor. I don't care what Jim says. Like somehow McDonald's decided to help Russians be healthier. Congratulations. Good job.
Which I mean, so they're I don't know if you read the statement about it, but basically like, all right, we had to shut down in Ukraine too, and we had to shut down in Russia, and we're keeping Ronald McDonald's house going, blah blah blah. And but I suspect it probably has to do with like some supply issues and like not being able to like exchange the rubles for like US dollars. Like I suspect there's some other things other than like they wanted to show their solidarity.
Oh, perhaps a devaluation of the ruble would affect their actual profits, and they're really only thinking of themselves.
And
That's an interesting take.
yeah.
That's a bold prediction, Cotton. Let's see how it plays
But
out.
if, they can go and make some political hay out of it and be like, "See, we stand against the injustice of Russia," like I
It's
maybe it's not all that. Maybe I'm not giving them enough credit, but I
Netflix.
suspect it might have something to do.
Yeah,
Netflix, I think Netflix is probably similar, right? Like they're like,
yeah,
well, we can't actually do the payment processing to get whatever cards they're using, especially since Visa and MasterCard now shut down the transaction things, plus
yeah.
the Swift thing. So they're like, well, we can't actually do this anyway, so we'll just say that we're taking a stand for Ukraine and shut down operations in Russia.
The virtue signal. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's just it's
It-
PR, right? I mean,
yeah,
like maybe.
and guess what? Net
And
Netflix is going to probably raise their monthly charges to cover this economic disaster that they had to deal with to signal their virtue in Russia.
yeah, and Matt says Netflix pulled out because the U.S. government made it illegal to transfer funds back to the U.S. from Russia. Like I feel like there's still some ways to do that, but it's just like between all the card companies and the bank processing, uh, kicking them out of the system, it's almost impossible to do. Plus, even like, and I talked about this Monday too. I was like, oh, crypto, like they're still like staying
Yeah.
over there. Like even them, they're like cutting down on accounts,
Yeah, I was
like
gonna say,
places
do
like
do they
Coinbase.
accept Bitcoin? Because perhaps there's a way around if they accept Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, I mean the thing about like cryptocurrencies is if you don't have it in like an actual wallet, you have it in something like Coinbase, which is where like most of my stuff is too. You don't actually own that money. They can they can take it at any
The
time.
government can cut you off from your money, I think
Yeah.
is what I'm hearing. Apparently, they did it in Canada, they can do it here. Let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been a thing, right? Like the Obama administration tried to do some of that with like Tea Party folks and whatnot too, like a while ago. Tried to
Why do
to
yeah, why does the government hate freedom, Kevin? Why do they
I know. Can't believe that
that's
government.
what the reality is. They hate freedom.
Yeah, that's must be what it is. Um, so I don't know. How do we? I said we weren't going to talk about the Russia stuff yet, and yet here we are.
It's look, it's on the top of everybody's minds. I did kind of promise people we'd talk about Jussie Smollett. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that name.
Oh no, well, so I know of it. I mean that you could make it a fake news item because guess what? It is fake news Friday.
It
No
is
matter
fake
what
news.
anyone online says, they're probably Russian bots. If they're telling you it's not fake news Friday, it is. It is fake news Friday because we're going to be coming up on a break in a minute, right? But
Right.
so we do have that coming up. Again, if you're listening online, folks, make sure you leave your comments. But yeah, we'll get to that. So thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. You got me, Kevin Wilson, and Tim, the Freedom Variant O'Connor. We're heading to a break now, but we're going to be back in just a few minutes. Appreciate y'all listening today. Talk to you soon.
All right. So we're getting there, man. I love doing this show. It's great.
Yeah, that's fun. So, but yeah, you can do that. I feel like I probably have some fake news items, and someone had a contribution, although the source.
Is excellent. We
But
could use it as a fake news for the radio audience.
yes,
And
so
let
we'll
the
get to this.
I think Trump was gonna sell Alaska back to Russia too. He was gonna sell some stuff.
Yeah,
Pretty
and he
sure.
wanted to get Greenland.
Oh, that's what he was gonna buy Greenland. I
He's gonna
forgot.
buy Greenland.
That's right. All right. I mean, if he negotiates a good deal, that's all I can remember thinking. If he negotiates a good deal, I mean, what are the
Sure.
assets that Greenland has? It's really like Iceland, I think. I don't know.
No, it
I'm not sure.
depends. Well, it depends on how much of the snow melts. That's the important thing.
None of it.
If we get all the global warming, then
Well, then Greenland, I mean, it's like a true businessman, seeing the future and anticipating it. It's like Greenland could become Florida in 20,000 years.
yeah, it's free real estate at this point. Let's just claim it now.
That's it. Like the moon, we're gonna need it one of these days. We got to get
Yeah,
back
we
up there,
should
build some bases.
privatize the moon. That's what I say.
Do it. Do it.
All right, let's go back at 44 and talking about privatizing the moon.
We should happen.
Yeah, no, I'm for it. Like we'll do a whole show on privatizing the moon. I'm fine with it. Let's just
Netflix had a show about it, man. It was freaking going to the moon.
going to the moon.
Yeah,
It's a great show too. For all mankind, we're checking out about moon bases and stuff. Like if it's on Apple TV though, so you gotta deal with that. I know. I only watched it because it was free.
Nice.
But all right, 3, 2, 1. It's Fake News Friday. Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host today, joined by Tim, the Freedom Variant O'Connor. And we got some fake news to talk about today, of course. Fake news, maybe real news. We'll see.
So my contribution to Fake News Friday is just to dredge up the ghost of Jussie Smollett and let's just spend a little bit of time talking about the show that this guy put on. Okay, he did this thing. He hired a couple of his buddies to make it look like they didn't steal a sandwich. They beat him up and they called him. It was like to bash Trump at the same time as the ratings for his show were flagging, and then it went full circle. Like he wasn't even going to get prosecuted, and finally, like they changed the prosecuting DA, and this guy said, "Well, we've got to at least try this case. So, guys, the news is breaking about Jussie Smollett. He's been sentenced to 150 days in Cook County Jail. Is that
Wow.
real news or fake news?
Uh, Fake news. It's gonna be fake.
Apparently, first of all, no, it is true. It broke about an hour ago, right before the show, guys. That's how up to date. That's how
I
much
haven't
I'm
had
like,
times to see memes about this.
yeah,
That's
we
not fair, Tim.
yep. I haven't even had times to see memes about it to come up with funnier things than what I'm trying to say. But he's not suicidal, but he is going to spend 150 days in jail for lying to police in his hate crime hoax, and that broke on CNN.
Wow.
And they were big fans of Jussie when this first happened. So
No
they,
kidding.
they
Yeah,
probably
no.
feel really bad about presenting a whole bunch of fake news without evidence back in
Yeah,
the day.
that's. Do they though? I don't know.
I
That.
gotta
Yeah,
do that.
there's some truthiness to it, right? Like it
Yeah,
seems like it. They want it to be true, so why not report it?
I think that happens a lot, guys. I just want to be clear. Like they report a lot of things that they want to be true.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right, so let's get to a listener submitted fake news headline. So I'll read this one. Biden sells Alaska back to Russia so we can start drilling for oil there again. Is that real news or fake news, Tim?
Well, I mean, first of all, if it was real news, we would never hear about it on CNN. So, but I'm going to dissect it a little bit. Like, it, aren't we already drilling for oil in Alaska? Isn't that? I I,
That
I
that's
think
that's the
I'm gonna go with
it's
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 fake
fake. We're
news.
already drilling in Alaska.
It's fake news, but I rate it as plausible. Like if I was a fact checker, I'd be like, this is plausible.
Is that one of those like mostly true ratings that's
It, it's
somehow
it,
gets through
it's on the freedom variant scale of fact checking. It's
of fact
different.
checking?
It's better.
This comment it was from the Babylon Bee. It's fake news. They're
Whew. I
yeah,
guess. Phew. I don't know.
not gonna give Alaska back. Russia, of course, had at one point in time colonized a chunk of Alaska, sold it to the U.S.
Yeah.
It's a good old Seward's folly.
Yes. Correct. Um.
Uh, yeah,
Is it real news or fake news that Jen Psaki is blaming Putin for all of the current gas price rises, even though we did the whole show on this?
I know, right? So it's real news that she said that. It's like, oh, well, did you see that? Did you see the Biden thing where like they're asking him about gas prices and they're like, well, what are you gonna do about it? He's like, this is Russia's fault. I can't do nothing.
That's it. And look, right up until the next election, it's Russia's fault. You guys know that they're building the narrative now, and unfortunately, I think the unfortunate part about this one track mind, this form of communication that we're faced with is that it's actually going to work. Okay, it's going to work. It's a lot of mediocre candidates are going to get reelected because this style of discussion works.
Yeah, and just it gets people going.
It
It
does.
fits the narrative that they want, so why not?
So I do have
Besides, wanting the truth, but whatever.
I
What's
have
that
a
matter?
fake news question that's going to take us down a kind of a deep issue, right? Like about we did that whole show on what is fake news, what isn't fake news. Okay,
Mhm.
I have one. Russia's independent media, long under siege, teeters under new Putin crackdown, and so basically, independent reporters that aren't part of the Komistas, the basic Russian narrative news. If what they do is deemed as fake news, they could face a potential 15-year prison sentence. Do you think that's true or false? I mean, Russia's getting portrayed as a hero in a lot of circles right now.
Uh, no, that is real. That's something that they're
It
actually doing.
it is absolutely real. And so when we talk about fake news and when we talk about towing the company line, we do have to realize that even though news is horrible in America, it is not completely run by the state. The narrative it has okay, it does support certain narratives, but these
Yeah.
reporters can can do their job without worrying about going to jail for 15 years, and I think that's a
Yeah.
big deal. Even on Fake News Friday, a touch of seriousness.
That is
So
a good thing. Yeah, for real. Like, it's one of those things where like I'm not I can be critical of the government, but still appreciate the American system, right? Where like, yeah, you're not gonna go to jail because you say something against the government that doesn't toe the official government line. Like even if an independent news agency reported the war in Ukraine as a war and not a special operation, they'd get in trouble for that. They
yeah,
could risk jail time,
yeah, that's
risk
it.
having their offices raided, whatever. Like this,
We can get deplatformed, right? We can lose our access to our monetary streams of money, but we do have opportunities and to move to other platforms and hopefully repopularize ourselves. So w- we in America don't go to jail. Like there's been plenty of times when Project Veritas has been labeled as fake news by the people in power, and they're still doing what they think that is right. They're chasing the truth. They're offering up narratives and stories that don't fit the official government narrative, and they're not going to jail for it, guys. It's a big deal.
yeah, right. And that's the point, right? Like even if people put out stuff that you don't agree with, we still have the ability to debate and decide whether or not that's true. And again, if the president or whoever decides like that's not true, they're not getting locked away forever.
So just because it is definitely way better than Russia doesn't mean it's perfect. I always think
No.
of the third way as a libertarian. Like it doesn't mean it's perfect. It doesn't
No,
mean
no,
it's
we're
right.
still gonna criticize,
Yeah.
like, the mainstream media when they put out a bunch of nonsense, right?
Yeah.
Because like, right now, like, I wanna criticize them because you got way too many people talking about, "Oh, let's just do a no-fly zone." Like, that's just a thing you just do casually.
Just make a rule. Just make a
Yeah,
rule and
you
they'll
just make a
follow the
rule, it's like
rule.
a regulation, right? We make regulations all the time, no
Don't
big
fly
deal.
over there. People
It's yeah, just
it's
tell them not to fly. No, what a no-fly zone means is that you're shooting down Russian planes. That's what a
that's
no-fly zone is. It is an
thank
act of
you.
war. It's and the US could do that to places like Iraq because we weren't scared of Iraq nuking us.
Yeah. And we should be scared of Russia's bringing this and Putin did guys promise to drag every country into this that's a member of NATO. And so these things are real. These things are terrifying for a number of reasons, and that's one more reason why I don't let my emotions necessarily control me. I don't like war, and you're not going to drag me into liking a war. Period. Okay, like that's it. And these things, like these elite people on the left and elite people on the right, saying yes, no fly zone. Like that's just something that happens without a human cost, and
Yeah.
it's a problem, and we need to
No,
be better as
just
human
doing that
beings.
sort of stuff like casual like drives me nuts. Like there are, again, there are a lot of warmongers in the media who either because it gets good views or because people are engaged, whatever, it's I'm not gonna sit by and let that stuff like pass casually because that like it's so reckless.
Yeah,
Even if like you want to do something about it, like what they're advocating for is just beyond reckless. And like luckily the Biden administration and military have been relatively reserved on this. Not without criticism, but relatively reserved on some of this
I
stuff relative to the media.
yes, while I always question our participation in NATO just because, okay, Biden has not I mean, he's silly and he's broken in a lot of ways, but he has
Yeah.
been okay in his messaging about our
Just
military involvement, okay? He's not rah-rah, like, we're gonna wreck Putin and it's, you know, it's okay.
yeah.
It could be let's just say it
There,
could be worse.
it could be worse. And
It
that's
could be
I
worse.
mean, kind of sad that like that's the
I
line we take. Like
I
it
know.
hasn't totally blown up yet. So like I guess this is good. But
This is not exactly what I want, but it could have been a lot
I know,
worse.
right? Set those bars low, Tim.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. I wanna give you a headline. I want you to tell me
Okay.
if it's real or fake, though. It's still related to this topic. Tell me if this is a real headline. Poutine, not Putin. Classic Quebec dish off the menu in France and Canada. Are people removing poutine from
I
menus because it's too close to Putin?
okay, first of all, we saw this wave of mass formation hysteria back in our own country years ago, okay? So, I know that has to be true. That will be striking a blow against the Russians. Like,
Yeah,
it's
no,
true. I know it's true, right?
It is true. I guess in French, like poutine and Putin sound very similar. So a lot of places have been pulling it off the menu. And I joked earlier this week. I'm like, well, I guess you could have freedom fries. Like, remember when everyone was renaming
That's
French fries freedom fries? That's
I know, man.
yeah, you can have that.
And guess what? Guess what poutine is or Putin is? It's freedom fries with gravy. Just so
That's
you know,
right.
it's
Gravy and
literally.
cheese curds. That's all it is.
Oh, you get cheese curds too?
Oh heck yeah,
What?
man! We listen.
I didn't
Rochester's
know that.
basically Canada, so like, yeah, no, we
Okay.
got we got. There's a poutine restaurant. I'm not kidding. Like half a mile from my house.
Did they change their name?
That's a great question. We're gonna have to find out. I'm gonna have to do some research on that. But we're out of time for today's show. Thanks again for joining us on A Free Solution. Appreciate y'all being here. Have a wonderful weekend, folks. Take care. All right, radio show's out.
Yeah, all right. No, Garrett, it's true, man. I saw it too. It is absolutely true. They definitely people tend to overreact like, too seriously to like they want to emotionally respond to world events. And I get it, but
Yeah, no, that
poutine,
some of that stuff is just ridiculous. Like the poutine renaming thing, it just killed me. And I'm like, like it'd almost be funny if it weren't for the fact that people were like, they want to be so like anti-Russia that like they're just like everyone knows what poutine is. Like you don't need to rename it. Like no one's confused about this.
well, I didn't know it came with cheese curds, Kevin. So I am not a poutine expert, to be honest with
It's
you.
like, well,
But
you come. Like I said, there. I'm not kidding. There really is a poutine restaurant like very close to my house. I haven't visited yet. But there's a poutine truck that's pretty darn good. Um,
I like freedom. I like my freedom fries with gravy. So now if I
there you
just
go.
had cheese curds, I got poutine.
Yeah, so you get cheese curds and some like thyme on them. Yeah, it's good
Okay.
stuff. And
All
then they have one with like pulled pork too. So
Okay, now you're talking like brown gravy, freedom fries, and pulled pork.
oh yeah, no, it's good stuff.
Oh my god.
Now I'm gonna have to go visit the poutine truck soon. And Matt says
Hmm.
they call poutine the Canadian garbage plate. Yeah, I agree.
Now,
They might as well have that.
yeah, but garbage plate, like I was confused. Like, is that a slam at poutine, or because I can remember going
No,
into a
no.
restaurant and
Wait, all
ordering a
right, wait,
garbage
hold
plate?
on. Do you know what a garbage plate is?
I'm thinking, okay, so I've been into a restaurant where I ordered a garbage plate for breakfast, right? And it was like eggs wrapped with like potatoes with hash browns and all this like 14 different things in it, and it was absolutely delicious. Is it that kind of thing?
All right, so listen, like classic
Oh,
garbage plate, you can get like breakfast garbage plates too, which maybe that's what you had, right? But
okay.
a classic Rochester garbage plate, officially the term is owned by Nick Tahoe's, but like everyone has their own plate around here. It is
Okay.
mac salad, home fries, either a couple burger patties or a couple like hots, so like white hots or red hots, and then
What
some
wait,
like
what's a white hot? What's a red hot? What is this?
so red hot's like a hot dog, right? Like preferably as
Okay.
Weigels, right?
All right.
Or so like a red hot dog or a white hot dog, like I'm fine with other varieties, but like you tell most people Rochester, yeah, you put some other Zweigels on there, they get fussy. Um,
Okay. Okay.
but
I
anyway,
I
I usually get the burgers on it. I usually get a cheeseburger, and then you have some hot sauce, right? Hot sauce is not, in fact, like Tabasco. It is like a spicy meat slurry. It's like you know, it's
what?
sort of like the chili, but
Oh
but a
my
bit
god.
more intense. It's a spicy meat slurry,
You know when
and then usually onions and mustard and whatnot on it too. So I had one of these. I'm not kidding. I had one of these last night for dinner.
nice.
Um, so,
You know how you get goosebumps when you get these like you come to these epiphanies and these cultural realizations? I'm having one of those right now.
yeah,
Like
that is a Rochester
I
delicacy. So like Tim, yeah, no,
I have just learned my understanding of the world has just expanded. I don't even know what to say. I'm gobsmacked.
yeah, no. So Tim, you gotta come visit me in Rochester now, and
I
I'll
got it.
take it. There's and Garrett here says garbage plate sounds like a man's plate. Sounds awesome. Oh, Garrett, it is. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
we don't
Listen,
have garbage plates in our area, do we, Garrett? It's not even something that
it's
happens.
weird, like it's not like outside the immediate Rochester area, like it's not a thing most of the time, right? Like I traveled like I was down in just like a county over and they had a plate on the menu and it was like plain pasta with Frank's Red Hot and like ballpark Frank's hot dogs and French fries. I'm like, what the hell is this? This is
What?
not a garbage
That's
plate.
emotional
Is
damage.
that it is? It is. I was offended.
I think, yeah, that's horrible. Hey, Kevin, I got a question for you. It's really important. Is this a can of what?
I cannot see it. I'm gonna have to like
No,
zoom
no.
in. What is it?
Here, it's a.
Oh, are
I'm
you
reading
gonna
it.
do the soda or pop thing?
Yeah, I was hoping for a
All
more
right.
spontaneous response than that, but okay.
Oh no, what's okay? Here's the thing. Like soda pop divide line. I grew up on the soda side of the line,
Okay.
right? But now I'm in Rochester and everyone calls it pop here. So like my wife calls it pop. Um
Wow. I thought that
and
was a myth. That was like an urban legend
oh
or
no,
a rural
it's
legend.
like you get a little bit west of Syracuse and everyone starts calling it pop. The thing. So I grew up calling it soda all my life, and I get here and pop everywhere.
Pop. Can I get a pop?
Yeah.
I guess. It's like free advertising for Kathy Hochul and her Pave Our Potholes plan.
Pave our potholes.
Pop.
That's just I said it's the weirdest thing, like just a little bit west of Syracuse. And I went to college in like the Finger Lakes too. A lot of folks call it soda there still. So it's like I don't know, it's like Wayne County. They start calling it pop.
Yeah. This is the third party cola. We're not Coke. We're not Pepsi. We're not paying each other to make up fights about each other. It's just good soda. I don't know. I used to do a whole bunch of stuff with it when I was campaigning because I thought and I even wrote to RC and tried to get them to like, jump on the libertarian train, but they don't have any money for advertising.
No, nothing. Well, anyway, what were
I
we talking
don't
about?
know.
I don't know. Oh, I don't know what, where we're going at the end of
I
stuff.
now know what a garbage plate is.
No, yeah, no, for real though. You gotta come have one. And you can see the comments coming in too. Like garbage
Yeah.
plates, they're amazing. They're good stuff. And yeah, uh, I have.
We don't drink pop.
We don't
Yeah,
drink pop.
we drink soda here. But is it like could people really fight over whether it's soda or pop? And I think they
Oh,
can.
they do, they do.
And so
Because I'll do it. I'll like, oh yeah, no, I'd like a soda. And they're like, you mean a pop? And like people like will correct me like at restaurants,
you
like
don't.
customer service folks. I'm like, yeah, I guess.
Okay, okay, yes, I want to pop because yeah, but that does point out that culture can play a role in our divisions, right?
Yeah. Oh, I gotta find it. Pop soda app. Although the weird thing, so I spent the first 12 years of my life in Georgia, and
Okay,
they call
I'm
everything
sorry.
Coke there. You're sorry.
I'm
It's
sorry.
fair. Call everything. They call everything Coke there. That's
All right.
the most bizarre thing. But like for anyone like outside of like New York and who doesn't believe what I'm talking about, I do want to share this like map with you, which it like you can see the dividing line. I'm not kidding. Like just a little bit west of Syracuse,
Okay.
that's where it starts.
Oh, look at that. That's
So
really
like
funny.
really it's like right here. So I grew up, in the Utica Rome area over here, and Tim's a little bit south of that.
Yeah.
But right over where Rochester is, that's the pop area.
Oh, well,
And then Coke for some reason where I grew up. I grew up like just north, like right where the East Coast in Georgia, Florida, like boundary is. That's where I spent the first 12 years of my life. A bunch of people call it Coke.
all right. Man, we are learning a lot about each other today, and I am so glad that happened.
There we go.
Yeah,
Got some family in Webster. They call it pop. No balloon pops. It's soda.
who knew that Fake News Friday would get here?
Yeah. And like what Shelly's comment here says too is even if it's a Pepsi, they call it Coke. It sounds like she's joking. She's not. Like
She's
it's
not. You say I want a Pepsi Coke?
yeah. Yeah. No, people say stuff like that.
All right, that would be
Nope.
kind of weird.
So different things. Like I mean, like I never picked that up because my parents are, from the north, so they called it soda. So and it's not like people don't know what you mean. The one weird thing coming up from Georgia up to New York State that confused me is when you're in the South and you say, yeah, I'd like a tea, they give you that tea where it's like half sugar.
Sweet
That is
tea.
yeah, that is not the case in New York. When I'm like, hey, can I just get a tea? And then I'm like, where's the
What
there's
is
no sugar in this. What the hell? No, my poor 12-year-old me was confused.
How do I fix this? Can we send this back? It's awful.
Yeah, it had legit had that conversation in a restaurant when I first moved up here. It's like, no, there's something wrong with this. And like, no, it's not. It's just not sweet tea. There's not like 45 grams of sugar, per sip.
Yeah. Yeah. If you want sugar, that's one spot you can get it.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, we should probably call it a night. But thanks everyone for listening today. Yeah. Have a great
Yeah.
night.
Thanks, everybody. I appreciate it. This was great.